What's going on, y'all? It's your boy, the only Juan, here to deliver one hell of a hack. But before we get into that, I'm gonna let you guys know you can follow me on all these social media accounts at the only Juan Lopez. That is Instagram, TikTok, not Twitter because they're weird like that. They don't allow that many characters. I am a serial entrepreneur based out in Phoenix, Arizona. So if you are in Arizona, reach out to me. I'm cool. I'll talk to anybody. So before we get into this video, I do want to thank our sponsors, Credeptio. So they are a fast-growing company offering state-of-the-art credit services using award-winning technology, a new modern way of fixing and building both personal and business credit. They are by far the most affordable in the market considering the amount of value they offer. If you need credit repair or need help building credit, Credeptio's got your back. Let's go. So thank you, Credeptio, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's jump into it. So today's video is going to be talking about how to pay off a 30-year mortgage in 5 to 7 years. That's right, a 30-year mortgage, you can pay that bitch off in 5 to 7 years. Forgot to mention, I'm gonna curse in this whole video because that's just who I am. I'm unfiltered. So that's something that you don't like, or you got kids in the room, put it on pause, go outside, watch it in your car, whatever. It's not weird. So just do that. Forewarning, right? And a quick other disclaimer. My legal department wanted me to say this. Before jumping into using any of these strategies, please consult with a financial advisor first. By viewing this, you agree to hold harmless any participants and or other entities that may be linked to this information. These are suggestions and by no means should be considered professional advice. So if you want to use this strategy, please consult your financial advisor first. I'm not a financial advisor. I just seen this work with other people. So this is why I'm delivering it. Hopefully it'll give you like an idea, then run it by your financial advisor. If he gives you the green light, then let's go. All right, so how to pay off a 30-year mortgage in 5 to 7 years, right? You're probably wondering how we do that. But before we get into that, I wanted to give you guys averages because that's what I'm basically going to be talking about. This isn't for the rich. This is for your average Joe, right? Anybody could do this. So I'm going to be giving you average wages in America, right? So the average wage in America, we're talking about $19.33. That's an hour, okay? That's the average in America. Fucking hurts, I know, but that's what it is, right? So this amounts to $773.20. That's a week, right? I don't know if you guys can see this. Hopefully you can, because if you can't, then my whole fucking video is the shit. So that's a week. A month, we're looking at $3,092.80. And that's a month, right? And this equates to $40,206.40 a year, right? So this is your average Joe. This is what people make on average, right? So now that we know that, I'm gonna be touching up on what the average price or value price of a home is in America too, because what we're talking about today, although this could be this method could be applied in any other loan, student loan, car loan, whatever it may be, it could be applied there, but this is for a mortgage, so we're going to keep it mortgage based, house based, whatever. So the average house value in America is $247,000. All right, so that is the average value of a house in America. And it's the average. So you'll have states like West Virginia, which is the lowest. It has the lowest average of 108,000. And you also have states like Hawaii, which is the highest. They have an average of 636,000. All right, so depending on what state you live in, make sure like you can go into bankrate.com and you can find the average of the average home value in your state. Online is pretty easy. So these are the averages. Now that we covered average, which is 247,000 home value, right? And then the average wage, which is 40,206. These are the numbers that we're going to be working with, right? This is the average Joe. So next thing that we're going to be touching up on, let me wipe this clean. Next thing we're going to be touching up on is simple versus complex interest, right? So you have your line of credit. This right here is simple. And then you have your home loan. This is complex. right? So with the line of credit, the interest is calculated daily, it's charged monthly, and it's revolving, which means that it's two-dimensional. Two-dimensional means that if the minimum payment is made, you can keep on utilizing the credit that's available, right? Unlike a home loan is only one-dimensional, meaning that if you have a $250,000 home or loan, right, on your home, and you've paid down $10,000 of that, you owe $240,000, right? And you can't utilize that $10,000, like what you owe, like you can't utilize that credit anymore, right? So that's why it's one-dimensional. Even though you're making your payments, you can't go back and utilize those payments that you've made. So that's why it's considered one-dimensional. Also, homes are amortized, which means that it has a set length and it's on a schedule, right? So right here, I'm gonna post it on the video. So I'm gonna post a quick amortization schedule for 1 year using the starting balance of 247,000, you know, and some change, whatever the average is. Remember, because we're going to be using the averages, right? So this is using a $247,000 home loan. So here's a chart real quick. Take a look at it. Pause the video if you want, and just look at the numbers. So I'm gonna keep the chart right here, and I'm gonna keep it there for you guys to look at it. One thing that I wanted to touch up on is notice that on the schedule, right? The first payment that you make, November 2020, your payment is $1,041.72, right? 424 of that is going to be added towards your principal, and 617 is going to be added towards your interest. That's just on the first year, right? A huge chunk of that is going into interest. For you to reach a tipping point, right, where you're paying more towards the principal and less towards the interest, you don't get to that point until 2027, 7 years into your interest or into your loan. So 7 years into your loan, that's when you're going to start paying more towards the principal and less towards the interest. Because remember, you want to pay more towards the principal because that's what you're actually, that's your actual loan. That's the money that you owe. The interest is just money that's getting sent to the bank. That's money you're never going to see again. It's basically just boom. You know what I mean? Like, you can't refinance on the interest that you paid. Now that we know the difference between simple and complex interest, right? Let's dive in to the actual strategy. All right, guys. So this is the meat and bones, right? This is where the actual strategy is applied. Now that you know the differences, so this strategy all revolves around your line of credit, right? So your average individual, right? Let's say the average American, this is their bank, right? A bank, and then their income, which is their input, gets placed into the bank, right? And then their output gets applied to bills. And if you're good, you'll have, you know, some savings left over, right? So let's look at the average bill, right, for the average household in America. So we have your mortgage, which is $1,041.72. So this is your mortgage. You have your card payment, so mortgage, card. The card payment is $300 a month minimum, right? Now you have LE, living expenses. You know, make that $1,000. This is going to cover, you know, internet, food, insurance, you know, whatever, live cheap, right? Then you got car payment, another $300. That leaves you with about $400 for savings, give or take every month. Just using round numbers here. 400. All right, so this is your average household. This is putting in $3,041.72, putting in, right? And then these right here, this this is your output. So what comes in has to come in through all this, right? So this strategy, what it does is it eliminates the bank, right? Because everyone that's investing, that's in investments, knows that if you keep your money sitting in the bank not doing anything, that's basically losing value because, you know, due to inflation, whatever's just sitting is not an active account. You're not earning interest on it, and you're letting other banks use it to lend it out to other people for free because they're not paying you for that. You know, they're charging everyone else 21%, and you're not getting a lick of that. So instead of putting it in the bank, put it in your line of credit. All right, so this is where it kind of gets a little confusing to some. At least for me, it was a little confusing at first. I didn't get it, but you know, follow along. It's gonna make sense. So let's say that your line of credit, you have a limit. 15K is a great limit to have. Let's say you have a $15,000 limit on this credit, on this line of credit. All right, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take $10,000 of this, right? So minus 10K, and you're gonna apply it towards your principal of your home loan, right? So $10,000 of your home loan. Your home loan, remember the average in America, we're using the average, 247K minus the 10K. Now you're at 237K on the home loan, right? And if you go back to the amortization schedule, it'll take you 7 years to even pay down the principal by $7,000. So that's a huge hack. You're just skipping all that. You're also not paying interest in all those years. So you're skipping 7 years of paying interest to the bank, which amounts to a lot more than $7,000. I think it's like $9,000 in interest. You're skipping all that. And on top of that, your monthly payment, this will go down because you do have an agreement. You have an agreement in length, right? So the bank is giving you 30 years to pay off that loan. It doesn't matter if it goes from 247 to $1, right? You decide to put 247 or $246,999 towards that, and you want to leave $1 in there, they will break that down into 30 years because you have 30 years to pay everything in full. So your payment will adjust, right? Your monthly payment will adjust. So when you do this, I haven't done the math on that. I don't know how much it drops, but let's say it just drops $100, right? I'll take my word for it, but let's say it just drops $100. So now your new monthly mortgage payment is $947.72, right? So you just increased your savings by $500. On top of that, you're also eliminating the $300 card payment, your minimum card payment, because if you're going to be bypassing the bank and putting all of your monthly earnings into the line of credit, you don't have to pay that $300 anymore. So you just increased your savings from $400 to $500, and you gave yourself an additional $300. So that brings a total of $800 every month in surplus. So those $800, what it's going to be doing is it's going to be paying down the $10,000 that you just put into your principal, right? So you still have living essentials. You still have to pay this, right? You also still have to pay your card, and you now have a payment of $947 on your mortgage, right? So you still have to pay all that. What you're going to do is you're going to pay that with your line of credit. And when you get paid the $3,400 or the $3,041, you're going to put that straight into the line of credit. So now that difference is going to hit a ding, and it's going to make a dent on that 10K, right? So let's do the math on this, right? So it's $10,000 divided by 800, right? So that gives us a grand total of 12.5, which translates to 12 months and a half, right? So you pay that $10,000 off in 1 year, right? So when you get your amount down to zero, you do it again, right? So once this $10,000 is paid down to zero, you do it again. You add another $10,000 towards your principal. Now, you're not gonna have a balance of 237K, right? Because that whole year, you've been applying this payment of 947, right? So you're gonna owe a lot less in 1 year. You know, let's say that you pay towards the principal in 1 year, or I'm just giving you a round number, $3,000, right? So now after 1 year, this 237K turns into 234K. After you pay this down, right? Minus 10K again, right? Because we're doing the 10K again. You're going to be at 224K. Excuse the writing, it's shitty, I know. But you get the idea, right? So every year you do this, you pay $10,000. And on top of that, your credit score is going to be increasing because of your utilization on this line of credit. So not only are you paying less on interest, your credit score is going through the roof because the bank is seeing that you're making on-time payments, you're utilizing your credit card, and you're not maxing it out, right? So you're not going over the limit. And I know what you're probably thinking, well, what about savings? You're only using $10,000 of the $15,000 that you have available. That means that you have $5,000 for emergencies, right? Because we all know emergencies, like they're unplanned for, right? And it's not good to max out your card, but let's say that something does happen, you have $5,000, right? Before you only had $400 that you were saving every single month, right? It would have taken you a year to save up $5,000 from that $400 a month that you had previously. And now you have it right away and automatically. Just a quick recap, right? You start with your line of credit, and you use a bulk of it, right? So let's say that you have 15,000, use a bulk of that and put it towards the principal. So that, in order for you to do that, I would recommend calling the bank and telling them that you want $10,000 towards the principal. Say that specifically because they'll take your money and they'll apply it towards the interest. They don't care. So you have to specifically say that you want that money applied towards the principal because they will take it and take it as advanced payments of interest. Because remember, it's a schedule. So you're scheduled to pay this much in interest, and the first 7 years is mostly interest. So remember, call the banks, let them know you want this $10,000 applied towards the principal. Okay? So line of credit, apply a bulk of it towards the principal, and instead don't put your money in the bank, put it into the line of credit, and then use your line of credit for all your bills, basically. As I mentioned before, please seek professional financial advice before jumping into this. Don't just jump into it because you just took my word for it. I'm giving you a general idea. Run it by your financial advisor. Maybe he might even know the strategy and explain it to you better. I'm sure I have a couple of things that I didn't mention here, but this is the gist of it. Like always, I'm here to help. If you got any value in this video, hit that subscribe button. It'll help. The likes will help. Any comments will help. If you feel like there's any information that was fallacious, put it down in the comments. You know, put me on blast. I don't care. You know, like I don't claim to know it all. This is something that I stumbled upon, and I explained it the best way that I'm able to explain it. So don't hold back. I don't care. Like always, it's your boy, the only Juan. I'm out. Let's go.